I can't get on the computer for a little while because other people need it. So we'll hopefully we'll start soon.
I think Ice Cream Truck went by, but you know they normally play like I don't know, like Florida. I'm pretty sure it was the Rock's theme song.
Well, then he's like the world's best ice cream person ever.
I wonder how they get the license for that.
Do you have to have a license to play different music for your ice cream truck? It's just a form of advertising.
I don't know. I mean, and I guess it's not technically.
A lot of the music that they play is public domain, but I'm sure
Yeah.
the Rocks isn't yet.
Whatever.
I'm sure it's just one of those nobody's complained about it, so no one's alerted anybody.
Yeah. It's like who's gonna complain? It's the truck going by with saying the Rock says. I hate the.
Oh, yeah, it helps if I log into Roll20, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, all my characters likely to do for now, since he's still not changed, is run away and then freak out.
I think I just was rescued by Thalia. I think she saved me. I was dying.
So was I.
She's currently opening a stupidly large bag of small individually wrapped chips.
Individually wrapped chips?
Yeah, it's like 3 chips in a personal size bag. It's stupid.
That doesn't. Well.
It's the snack bag.
Oh, okay.
It's stupid and a waste of money. You could have bought like 2 large things for half the price.
But it's portion control.
That and they stay fresher longer. Because, you know, they stay around longer. I beat the South Park game for it.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. I'm trying to figure out if I should just rent it and then it's the sense of buying it if I'm going to beat it like in a week.
Yeah. I started playing the Lord of the Shadow.
Ew.
Pretty good too.
I don't think I've liked any of the Lord of the Rings games. I don't know that I've played them all. But not great so far. Maybe that one's better.
It's really repetitive. There's like 2 things to do.
Oh, the story so far is alright. I like. I'm at Emma. How the Fellowship failed.
Yeah, the storyline of the whole game and the premise of the game itself is great. I just didn't care for how they executed the game.
The first one was kind of I've been enjoying it. The second, Cal, her name Shelob, the spider chick. He has like a human form, and I am attracted to it. It's like if Liv Tyler was Morticia Adams.
So you've now found his true motive for playing the entire game and praising
Nah,
it.
I think she's done. Her part's done with it. I already died once. I wonder if Kev thinks his 7 is 8.
He's 13 hours ahead of us.
Oh, I didn't do that right. That's embarrassing. See, that's what I was thinking. Normally we start at 9.
Yeah.
But I think he thought 8. I don't know, time zones and whatnot.
I'm cool with 8. It gives me a chance
Yeah.
with other responsibilities fixed. I just didn't want to hold everybody else up.
Hello.
Yay, time zones.
You want to wait another hour?
No, it's fine. We can get started.
I shall quit this game of PUBG.
Well,
That's fine. I was gonna
I'd
die.
like to go bio first, but sure, you can finish your game of PUBG.
I already quit.
Alright, I'm gonna bio and I'll be right back. Possibly get a drink as well. So we'll start in like 5 minutes.
Does anyone watch the second season of Stranger Things yet?
I got the first 5 episodes in or something like that. Maybe 3 or 4.
I need to get caught up. I haven't started it at all.
Yeah, it's good so far.
My daily life is Stranger Things.
Alright, so let me know if everyone is ready.
I'm listening. I can't get to the computer right now. But
No worries, I can roll on your behalf. I have to load up your sheet first though, because I remember your sheet takes forever to load. Oh, it was actually relatively quick today. Right, so we're not in initiative order, so I'll turn that off. So yeah, you have just recent. Wait, is Robin and Rum there?
I hit ready. I would put an X in the thing.
I'm here.
Okay, cool. So previously, you had just finished repulsing a significant band of probably like 30 or 40 Goliaths of some kind. You had driven off. You had killed most of them. Well, a large number of them, and driven off some of the others. After discovering the wreckage of this way station, 2 burnt out buildings, a tower that's partially imploded. No, exploded.
Also rock monster.
Yes, also rock monster. Imploded is that it falls inwards, right? And exploded is that it falls outwards.
Right.
So yes, exploded. You had been rained down from a drifting island that was passing overhead, some sort of magical spellcaster throwing fireballs. However, when you attempted to engage him, all of your projectiles and stuff seemed to hit into some sort of like a magical dome, maybe like a tiny hut. But upon kind of like routing the band, the two spellcasters evidently decided that it was a lost battle because they used some sort of spell to disappear from sight and evidently fled the scene. At the moment, what is happening is that the Marines, the Cavaliers, are kind of like organizing themselves and retreating back into the hold, back inside the walls, and kind of like treating their wounds and etc. You can see that one of the steam dragoons that belongs to Lance Corporal Dobie seems to be in significantly bad shape. There are missing sections. There's off-gassing of steam. That's not normal, like it's leaking. And one of the legs seems to be dragging. Another squad, Squad B, if I recall correctly, seem to have suffered some injuries, cuts and bruises and various wounds. The others squads don't seem to have taken that much of a beating. However, I believe Milo is unconscious, isn't he?
No, he's fine.
Yeah, you healed me.
Yes, that's right. You healed him for 7 hit points. I'll actually add that to you.
70.
70?
I'm just kidding. He doesn't even have 70.
I was like, what? She used the heal on you?
That's what I was thinking. I knew she had heal.
And they killed Philip, yes. Which is sad. Yeah, so yeah, they've regathered back inside. A couple of the squads are kind of like posted up at their entrances, still on alert per se. But however, I think Pippin himself is kind of like looking over the rock monster, kind of like towing it with a boot. What are the rest of you doing?
Milo he's probably all disheveled, and he goes to a quiet area and straightens himself up.
Okay, so I guess you go like the most intact, quiet area is probably inside the first floor of the tower.
Yeah, I'd say that. And if there's not, he tries to be private with it, and he just combing his hair, or adjusting different things, and kind of casting mend to mend his like hat or anything else that would be damaged.
All right. I think they're not in your way. They're on the other side of like the first floor of the tower, but the squad that took the most pounding is kind of like inside the place as well, kind of like addressing their wounds and etc. Yeah. What is Obadiah rather? Obadiah looks pretty injured as well, right?
I was gonna see if I could roll some hit die, but I don't have any.
You've rolled them all already?
Well, apparently I remember rolling them sometime last game. I feel.
No, I don't think you did.
You all should have your full hit die because you've just gotten off the airship, and you would have gotten multiple long rests during the trip. But yeah, you could take an hour, which is literally what B Squad is doing, and the others are doing. Dobie has kind of like exited out of the Steam Dragoon and is kind of standing there, looking a little bit upset, hands on hip, trying to figure out how much is salvageable, how much is repairable. Yeah, so what are the four of you doing? Well, there's five of you, but speaking of which, no, never mind. We'll go on this first. What are the four of you doing?
Thalia is actually going to dig in her pack and pull out a little tin, something that Juggy had given her like first or second session.
Right, Kai Got's ointment.
Yep, or otherwise known as restorative ointment.
Yeah, restorative ointment.
And I think she has 3 doses of it, is what we found out.
Okay.
So it's
Who are you applying it to?
it's going to be Milo first.
Okay, Milo, are you planning on rolling hit die?
I'd like to roll at least get me to half, so I'll start with 2.
Okay. So you rolled 2 out of your 5 hit die, 7 hit die rather. Which, wow, okay, that was suboptimal.
That's
Regaining
okay.
8 hit points brings you to 15.
He gets a dose of restorative ointment.
All right.
Oh wow, sure, yeah. So the ointment mends the worst of your wounds, giving you another 8 hit points, which brings you up to 23 out of 41.
He rubs the ointment like underneath his beard.
It's actually you're drinking it.
Oh, I thought it was ointment.
As an action, 1 dose of the ointment can be swallowed or applied to the skin. Okay. So yeah, it'd be skin this.
He rubs it all like underneath his beard. It's all matted.
She still sees you're kind of in piss poor shape, so she'll give you 1 more dose. There we go.
Yeah,
Fantastic. So
he thanks you
for additional 13, which brings you to 36.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Which means you're 5 hit point off max. Do you want to roll another hit die, or do you just leave? For
Nah, that's good. Anything he gets hit by is probably gonna kill him anyway.
All right, so it turns out that field repairs, after a moment, about an hour of basically, tending your wounds, etc. Dobie, you overhear the conversation. Dobie goes and reports to Pippin, and kind of you overhear basically him telling Pippin that the steam dragoon that Dobie was occupying is pretty much out of commission. Like, it has to be picked up and repaired back on the ship. Like, they can't do field repairs on it.
The instant he walks away from that armor, Brophy is climbing in, trying to be stealthy.
Okay. Sure. Roll me a 1d20 check. It will be based on, I think it's wisdom.
Subtract 1 from that. Oh no, wisdom, add 2.
Okay, so 16. So yeah, you climb in it. So it kind of opens up from the back, and kind of like back down the sides of the legs, the back of the legs rather. When it opens up, are these little like ladders and footholds. And you climb into it, you discover that it's quite a, let's say it's a claustrophobic interior, and where your eyes would go instead is like almost like a pair of these periscope like goggles. You're unable to figure out how to close up the interior, the exterior rather, after fiddling around for a bit, and eventually when someone does notice what you're doing, you haven't managed to figure out how to operate this strange contraption. It's evidently it's not just as easy as putting your arms into the correct gloves and then just moving them like you would. But yeah, Dobie comes back and tells you, excuse me, sir, you shouldn't be touching this. It's not safe, especially now.
That's what she said.
And he kind of like unless you resist him, he kind of ushers you out and kind of not really glares at you suspiciously, but like just it's clearly evidently like
He's annoyed.
not letting you get back in.
Yeah, he wouldn't fight it. He'd just be like craning over his shoulder, just trying to get a last glimpse of the interior.
Obi's watched all of this. I've watched him sneak in there, and I just kind of shook my head. Like I'm like cleaning my rifle, like field cleaning it, and just watching Brophy.
Okay. Okay. Well, these are not good rolls. So yeah, they've decided, and additionally, you see C Squad overseen by Lance Corporal Cheeky. She directs them in kind of like salvaging not salvaging, kind of like going over inspecting the Goliath bands, like the war band, their weapons, their gear, and etc. They come back with several items and they show it to Sergeant Pippin and I think Obadiah, who's nearby as well, right?
Yeah. If I saw them walking in, I'd emit polite curiosity, see what they were using.
So they're holding a couple of like shields. One of them's like basically shattered, and they're holding some sort of like a armband or a talisman or some sort of part of clothing, and on it you can see a stylistic, maybe charcoal, maybe dye outline, not colored in, just kind of like the outlines of the silhouette of a fist grasping a lightning bolt, a forked lightning bolt. Almost holding it like a dagger or a spear.
I'd ask her if there are any more of those like rags or talismans around.
She nods and says, "Aye, they all seem to be sporting them, all of them. Various armbands, headbands, bandanas, heraldry on shields, etc."
I'm gonna take like a talisman and just have it in my bag in case.
Okay. You can name it whatever you want.
Yeah, well.
I think the scrap of clothing that you taken is probably, you probably can recognize, given your game hunting background, as bear skin.
Yeah.
And Pippin says to Dobie, no, Pippin says to Cheeky rather. Sorry, do you recognize this heraldry? And Cheeky says, no, never seen this one before. Though, to be fair, it's not really, we don't really come up here that often. Actually, Thalia, if you were to be a part of the conversation,
She would
as
have
well
heard,
as
yeah.
Obadiah, I think
She would have
you've
heard
seen,
heraldry or whatever the term was you used, and just kind of piqued interest.
yeah. So you guys have seen the symbolry before.
With all
It was
those other
back
ones.
down. Yeah, it was back down in the folk moot, the Goliath moot.
The one that was all farked up.
Yeah, the shattered obelisk, the clan obelisk of the storm hunters.
Oh, so she'd pull out her papers then, because she copied that.
Yeah, and it's not exactly the same. And in fact, when you look over the several examples of they're not like printed or manufactured or anything. Each one is slightly different and unique, but they all have the same theme. It's a fist grasping a forked lightning bolt. And Pippin says to you, "Oh, where'd you draw that?"
Oh, she'll explain. It wasn't that far from the city.
Oh, is this what you were sketching back down in the folk?
Yeah. There's and she pulls out her other papers that she had sketched of him.
Yeah, Pippin says, "You know, it's strange because they're a bit. We've never had this kind of attack before. Occasionally, pilgrims and such might get raided. It's like highway robbery, but they don't typically, go for the kill. As evidently they were here. Usually, they just take valuables and belongings and gear." Also, I've never seen them use elementals before. And kind of again nudges the dead rock.
Yeah, that thing was unpleasant.
Maybe somebody's helping him out.
He looks at you curiously.
Maybe somebody's assisting them. I wonder why that would be.
Probably they're after the same thing you're after, whatever that is. And he holds up a hand as if like, you don't need to tell me. Like that's none of my business. It's probably above my pay grade, kind of gesture.
Brophy speaks up and said, "I was just here for hot springs."
Pippin looks at you kind of like strangely, and he says, we're awfully far from the nearest hot spring, as far as I know."
"I know, right?" And then he points at Thalia. "She's the one that lied to me."
In my defense, the area that we were heading to was a hot spring. I said that's where we're heading.
All right, so the time now is, I think the sun is just setting. Pippin kind of, after looking over the situation, looking over the group, and looking over, after you said that, these guys, they might be receiving help, conversation of that they might be going after whatever you are going after. He says, "Well, the Sharpies tell me that the next 3 chains of islands have drifted close enough that we could probably throw some rope across, etc., and secure some sort of bridge. If you wanted to get going now, we could. Or if you wanted to wait till morning, I'll get the lads to start securing the perimeter."
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Well, what time of the day is it?
I think it's almost sundown.
It might be better to wait to have something that's actually secure.
All right, so I think as part of this conversation, you would have had it. They cleared away some of the rubble in the staircase to get up onto the roof, and I should describe your surroundings a little bit more. So let's go to another doodle page. So the central.
Time for Kev's Doodles.
So you're on like a central island. Sorry, like that. There's a south island with some sort of water cascade coming from it. There's like a bridge, and the island that drifted overhead is seeming basically before seems to be dipping, and it's currently going. It seems to be orbiting the current island that you're on in a kind of like a polar orbit, if you know what that means.
Yeah, it's rotating around it.
Yeah. So and you can see that drifting to the north, there are 3 additional islands. One coming in from the west, very slowly, and then one coming in from the east. And then one that's coming up from like the depths below. Like I've described I've described that, how below there's this like magical maelstrom, right? I seem to recall saying that.
Yeah.
It's kind of rising up out of the magical maelstrom. There's like fog pouring off it that was part of the maelstrom itself, as well as like water cascading off the side of it. It's coming up very fast, but you can, even by eyesight, you can see that its momentum is slowing down as it rises. And the 3 of these islands, judging by your and the islands like kind of donut shape. Judging by your like the way that they're moving, within the next few hours or so, they should form like an almost land bridge that would look like ideally like a kind of like a stepping stone onto a somewhat elongated, curved crescent island that's like probably 300 or 400 feet above you. And beyond that, you can kind of see like you can kind of get the impression of how like certain jigsaw pieces would form together to form almost like a chain of islands as a road leading up to some sort of central point. And in fact, when you look off to the very far west and the very far east, you can see similar things happen to form paths that lead like a. I don't want to describe it this way because it leads to different connotations, but almost like paths, like a spider web, where each different path is like a strand leading to some kind of center. So there's not just this path going up. There's various other island chains that are starting to form. Is any of that unclear?
It's kind of like a hub and spoke, but actually it goes in every direction, like a spider web.
Precisely. And then there are indeed similar to hub and spoke. There are other islands, although they're less like path like. You might need to do some creative island hopping, but there are various places where you can see kind of like islands that might allow you to cross from one spoke to the other. Yeah, I think spokes are the ones leading out, right?
I'm going to go to the edge of the thing we're on and look down.
Okay, interesting. Roll me a perception check. All right, and you have advantage on your perception check, right?
I do.
All right. Is Perrin? Sorry, not Perrin.
Milo.
Is Milo there with him, looking down? Would Ralph like to make a perception check as well?
Yeah, I would like to. I think after a while, I would check in on what Obi was doing after I did my other stuff, and kind of like look over the edge. I'm sure I'd be curious, and I would send Ralph underneath the island, if that's possible.
Sure, yes, that is entirely possible.
I'm just seeing how far down it is because my fat ass is not gonna make this. I know it. I'm gonna hit the ground hard.
If you were to fall from the side of this island, you suspect that without further aid, you would die. You're at least 600, 700, 800 feet up from the roiling maelstrom that's beneath. So roll me a perception check for Ralph. I'll tell you what you see, Obadiah. When you look over the edge, you see several islands. Some that are dropping into the maelstrom, some that are rising out of it. There's one particular island that looks like it's reachable, probably not from the island that you're on, but there looks to be a chain of islands that are in proximity to each other to form a path that lead downwards, deeper into the maelstrom, whereas you understand that your objective is to go up. You're supposed to chain hop islands upwards towards the summit. There is a path that's leading downwards to an island that seems to be drifting in a large circular orbit just above the maelstrom. And you can see with your keen eyes that there are definite signs of some sort of, I hesitate to say a settlement, but some sort of activity, some outposts. There's campfires, there's a bit of smoke, and you can kind of make out there's some sort of like a quarry or a mine or something. It's a particularly large island. You would estimate, just from perspective wise, that it's probably 2 to 3 times the current island that you're on.
Gotcha. Nope. And I'm gonna, I'm just gonna keep looking and see if I see any movement, like Goliath movement.
Brophy, you have an opportunity to take a look at it as well, if you were a little bit brash about it. Or are you not going to show off your spyglass?
I don't even think he needs a sight glass. Can't he just see for miles?
Oh yeah, you can, right?
Yep.
Would have called him over.
So why did you? Why?
Because he's a klepto.
Pretty much.
Okay, roll me a perception check with advantage, and your roll, like you pretty much only have to roll. Okay, so 24. So it's a feature, right?
Yeah, it's from my barbarian thingy. I can click it if you want.
Okay, yeah. I would prefer the text, just to see the exact language of it.
Let me find it real quick.
It's like eagle totem, right?
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So you can see you can discern even fine details as though looking at something no more than 100. Okay, so that's interesting. When Obadiah calls you over to survey the situation, using your keen eagle vision through your aspect of the beast, you spy a Goliath settlement. And in fact, you see broadly painted on the side of like a teepee. Is that racist? Goliaths living in teepee? Never mind.
How about
Maybe
a hut?
Or maybe they're yurts.
Yurt, yes. Perfect, a yurt. You see on the side of a yurt the familiar heraldry of the Storm Hunter clan. It seems to be a small staging post from what you can gather, and you can see just in line of sight, that there's about a dozen Goliaths in sight. There are several, like 4 or 5 yurts. However, their primary task at hand, instead of this mine, it's actually some sort of like a pulley, a hoist of some kind. And you can kind of see that they've got some sort of like a rig, like ropes, dangling off through the side, like on the other side of the island. So you can't really see where this rope is going, but they seem to be lifting and lowering platforms from this island up and down into the maelstrom beneath them, as this island kind of drifts in this lazy circular motion. And by circular motion, I don't mean like it's going miles. I mean it's circling around a point that's probably within like a 500 feet radius.
I'll ask the guys, the military guys, if they have anything like a missile or something that could reach that far.
What, that island over there?
Yeah, it's inhabited by the Goliaths, and it looks like they've got winches and hoists and stuff that are lifting and lowering stuff. It
It
doesn't look
looks
good.
like they're right above the maelstrom.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
What could they possibly be? It's. I mean, I've never heard of anyone going down into the maelstrom and returning before.
I gotta ask, how far is that from us?
He kind of gauges the distance. Probably like half a mile to a mile.
I want to sigh and just wish I had a bigger gun.
And he says, and Pippin turns to you and says, "No. Well, unfortunately, we don't have anything that could shoot up to a mile."
Can you send the ship over?
Uh,
A lot of Goliaths.
this is true. However, I'm not entirely sure how comfortable the spell works kind of get a little bit weird. I'm not a mage, so I can't explain it. But my understanding is that, especially constructs and other types of things, get a bit squirrely the closer you get to the maelstrom. Not entirely sure if the captain would be comfortable taking the ship down that low. However, he points out to like a chain of islands, and he says, "It looks like with a little bit of finesse, we could detour around down to there if we chose to. It's probably how the Goliaths who attacked us, if that's indeed their base camp, got to us as well."
Out of
Brophy's.
curiosity, Milo would try to understand why the maelstrom creates havoc, and maybe by doing that, he can try to figure out why, like how we could avoid our own destruction.
Okay.
Whether that's looking at the ship, I don't know if it would be any of his special gnome abilities would come into place with that. Play with that.
I don't think so. It's not any gnome artificer type magic. It's a hurricane. You're basically standing atop floating islands drifting above a giant magical hurricane, essentially. Except this hurricane doesn't have an eye.
Well, perhaps his own arcane knowledge and intelligence may.
Yeah. Roll me an Arcana check. I'll have to warn you that the DC is pretty high. What is your maximum theoretical roll, by the way? 27?
27, yeah.
Okay. So 26 is actually pretty good. So this reminds you, looking at this reminds you of various, let's say, various tales that you've read in books regarding various other curious geological features elsewhere in the world, like in distant lands. Like there's like you forget the name, but you know that you've read somewhere that far to like almost on the other side of the known world, there's this vast desert. In the center of this desert, there's this sinkhole. There's this hole in the sand where all the sand around it just keeps pouring into it. And every year the hole gets a little bit bigger, and no one who's descended into the hole has ever come back up. And some people speculate that the hole is the creation of some sort of battle between two deities and etc. This reminds you of that kind of scale of event. Like if it's some spell work, it's probably the work of a deity. Although you can see no functional purpose to this storm, unless it's just to make these islands float around, which what's the point of that?
And he thinks to himself, sometimes nature is chaos. So this is not natural, but just like a natural maelstrom, it's having a similar effect.
Yeah. Although you gather as much that it's probably not like it didn't occur naturally. Like something created this storm, and there's some reason why this storm is still. Your understanding is that this storm has been around for hundreds of years, and the fact that it hasn't dissipated means that there's some sort of power source powering.
And something really powerful. So he begins to explain this in great detail to Obi. And
would you say excessive detail?
Oh yeah, he's just going. He's droning on. He's like, I think I got it. There was this desert, and then he just starts going into like everything you said, but he until Obi gets each part of it, he keeps on elaborating and what he's doing.
And I'm half-heartedly paying attention to him, and I'm more thinking, I wish I had a longer range gun.
Every other sentence, he Milo tugs on his shirt sleeve or his coat sleeve.
Oh yeah. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, no. Yeah, I get you.
It's fascinating.
It certainly is.
So we want to go close to it and die?
Well, I think we have to go that way. That's what we're being paid for.
So let me present to you. Obviously, you can do something else. You have one or two immediate choices. You can decide to push on, despite the sun going down, hoping to either catch up or overtake, or keep some headway in front of whatever competitors that you have. You can rest here and go in the morning, where it would be less dangerous and you'd be able to see what you're doing. And as to where you're going next, you have two obvious choices. You can continue up the three islands that are approaching each other, heading further up towards the summit, or you can take a brief detour and investigate what the storm hunters are doing, diving into the maelstrom.
Well, as much as I'd like to go shoot some more Goliaths, we have to be there within a certain time frame, correct?
Thalia brings up this point. Maybe that's where they're getting their elementals from.
That would make sense.
Or maybe those holes that guy was talking about, and he kind of rudely jerks his thumb at Milo. He's like, maybe this is a portal to that one dude who's trying to come back that one chick was talking about.
I don't think it is.
All I know is we have to be there before the pathway opens to protect it.
We're gonna pass on that island anyway, so we can always investigate what they're hiding in the yurts.
I might get a better shot from above.
So I should explain the detail a little bit more. So the island, you know what? Let me draw it from a side view. Maybe that would be more of an idea. So you're currently on. Let me use a different color. You're currently on island with the tower. There are 3 additional islands that are forming up to form kind of like a stepping stone. And then somewhere down off to the side, like closer towards the maelstrom, which I'll represent by a wavy line, is a odd-looking shaped island drifting around in a circle. And there are various other like loose islands drifting around the place that could form a theory down from one of the other islands to this island. And indeed, Brophy does spy that some of these islands have like chains or like rope bridges connecting to each other. These loose islands. But your stated objective is to continue up the steps until you reach the summit. It's not a massive detour, but it would be a detour from your goal.
You could always check it out on the way back.
If it's still there on the way back.
That's true.
So whatever they're bringing up, they have to be hiding somewhere, right?
I would assume so.
So like I said, as we're passing their island, going through their island, let's look to see what they're and maybe question.
Clearly, roll me a perception check. All right. So as you're speaking to the others standing on top of this tower, you notice an oddity when catch your attention. You glance down, and you see that what appears to be several lilies are sprouting and growing out of the stonework, and they're sprouting and growing out of the stonework to form letters at a time, which eventually spell out "thank you."
Really, that's hilarious.
You see Milo smiling.
That's silly.
So yeah, Pippin is kind of like standing. By the way, he's not in his suit because that would be awkward to climb the tower. But yeah, he's kind of like standing on one of the crenellations, I think they're called, or maybe seated on one of the crenellations, kind of waiting for your guys' decision. Seems perfectly content to follow your instruction directions.
Like I said, either way, we're gonna have to get onto that island, no matter what, right? The island where the
no matter what, you have to pass. You have to pass the second island that the path appears.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to detour down to the island that yurt, or just continue past, that's your choice.
I say we just buy.
It all depends on the alignment of the islands, I guess.
We could always get closer to the maelstrom on the way back, right?
Who knows? This place, it's magic. Magic, it's magic. Ugh.
It's great, isn't it?
It's curious. I mean, like, once we get to that second island, we can always send Milo's owl to go down there.
We might eat it.
The owl kind of, who's kind of near the group, cocks its head almost 90 degrees.
I mean, if it's safe for them to go down in an elevator or lifts, then it's safe for the bird to go to follow a lift down or up, depending on which way it's going.
You're not wrong.
How far away?
Oh, I don't know that. Let me cast it real quick. Or,
I think it's a mile.
yeah, I have communication with it at least a mile, and then I think it just disappears.
So, Pippin entertains your questions by answering various things about it, but it becomes clear after probably like 5 minutes of pestering him with questions that he has no intention of actually allowing you to operate one. It's more like the pilot answering questions about the characteristics and the operation of like an F-22, but he's not going to like allow you to take off in one.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fine. Right now I'm just trying to learn. I can always find someone dead in it later and try to get in it.
So act independently of you. If it's within 100 feet of you, it can communicate to you telepathically, but otherwise it cannot. I don't think there's a limitation on how far away you can send your familiar.
Yeah, it really doesn't say it. It would just lose contact with them, and then the instructions would be come back when you find something or whatever.
Yeah.
Or heck,
So what would the if you were to send him, assuming this is what you're planning on doing, what would the instructions on the return course be?
we technically don't even have to have a return course as long as we can keep an eye on him. He can dismiss it from anywhere, can't he?
Yeah, I believe I can.
Yeah, you just send it
I
there.
just can't
can
have
keep
more
an eye
than
on
one
it.
at once.
Yeah, no. You send it there to scout out, and I keep an eye on it, and then I can tell you when it looks like it's done, and you can just dismiss it and then resummon it right next to you.
Yeah, I'll have to cast it ritually, but I don't think that's an issue up here.
No, I believe resummoning it back to you, unless it's dead, you can just do it as an action.
Okay, that's true. I get that wrong every time, but yeah.
Yeah, so as an action, you can dismiss your familiar, and then as another action, you can cause it to appear within 30 feet of you.
Okay. Yeah. Before I do that, wherever Rolf is perched, I cast a minor illusion of a guinea pig, and then watch him. Well, I don't know if he would try to attack it because he's not a real owl. And then I would give him instructions, the Ralph, and send him on his way.
What are the instructions?
Look for hostiles like what we've fought already, or anything that I guess looks hostile. And then I would be saying this out loud, even though I can communicate with it telepathically. And then so if anybody from the group chimes in, I would give more instructions.
What are you doing with those lifts?
Yeah, I think the bird's smart enough to see that and report back what it sees.
Okay. So yeah, I guess whilst you guys set up camp, build the perimeter, and repair the gates and like a bivouac. Your owl descends down to this island about half a mile away. Brophy kind of keeping an eye on it. And it appears to flit about the camp out of the way. And in fact, roll me a stealth check with Ralph.
All right. Give me 1 minute.
If I have to, I'll use the spy. The way it reads, I would essentially be able to see up to 2 miles away with the spyglass.
All right. And roll me perception check. I believe it has advantage, right? So 18, okay. And I will roll something. More of like, not really a stealth check, but more of like a... Okay, so you watch... Whoops. You watch as Brophy watch about this camp a bit. I'll actually roll something else. I should be at disadvantage. Never mind. It doesn't matter. So yeah, he doesn't seem to draw any undue attention, although your owl, Brophy sees that your owl isn't being particularly like obnoxious. Like it's not like flying down and landing in the camp or anything.
Flying casual.
Yeah, flying casual owl. It sees so Brophy sees it like as one of the elevators is the contraptions is being lowered down in the maelstrom. It sees the owl dip down as if to follow it, but then like as it gets closer to the maelstrom, it kind of evidently changes its mind because it comes back up. You didn't give it any suicidal instructions, so
Is it flapping
No.
frantically?
not really. It just seems to have changed its mind regarding following the elevator down into the maelstrom for whatever reason. And then and then after a while, it gets a little bit bolder, and it goes and like lands atop one of the yurts. And then after like a couple of minutes, it takes off again and seems to be coming back in your direction.
He's headed back.
Milo's gonna be waiting, and he's gonna pick up like if there's a branch or something around, he's gonna like pick that up. So
Yeah, there's probably sticks or something from the bush.
Yeah, it kind of picks a appropriate one up. And I'll give him a little bit of rations, some kind of like meat rations or whatever.
Okay, so do you wait for it to fly all the way back up, or do you dismiss it and resummon it again?
It can fly pretty quick. It's flying 120 feet every 6 seconds.
So yeah, it takes about like a few minutes before it gets back.
Hell, I'll just let him fly.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't particularly get tired because it's not a real owl. Oh, maybe it does. Maybe it does. I mean, it's not a real owl, but it's still in an owl body. So I guess it gets back and it's largely it seems a little bit tired. But yeah, when you attempt to communicate with it, it's an owl after all. It first off, it tells you many, and it gives you the concept of Goliath. It's more like rock folk. but you understand it as Goliath. So it says many rock folk, some rock folk outside, some inside, and it says big cave, big cloth cave, magic Goliaths, and he shows you a brief mental image of the two Goliaths that you saw standing atop that island, throwing fireballs down at you guys. And then it says, short, fat folk. In big cloth cave. And then it shows you an image of the lift, and it simply just radiates a sense of unease regarding the sense of the maelstrom.
Milo telepathically communicates to him and asks, what did you say, the magic users, some of them?
Yeah, he says it says magic Goliaths in big cloth cave with short fat folk.
And so when he goes the magic ones, he says, "How many?" And then Milo begins to
he can
with
count
the
to
stick. Okay, so Milo actually he might not be able to say, because if he didn't count back there, but he draws on the ground different representations of how many there are and asks him to stop when he gets there.
No, it quite succinctly tells you in your mind two magic Goliaths.
And then he says, short fat folk, and he kind of Milo points at himself and then rubs his belly.
The Goliath responds to you in the negative and says fat, wide, stocky, in those concepts in your brain. Stout.
Sounds like we have
Milo minor illusions the face of kind of the face and shoulders, like the bust of a dwarf.
Yeah. Ralph responds in the affirmative.
And he asks him just one.
Yeah, it responds in the affirmative.
And then he does the same thing with the Goliath. He said many, many Goliaths, and he starts with the hash marks on the ground.
Yeah, it starts to get a little bit confused when you get about above about 9 or 10, and it simply just conveys to you the response many, which is more than 9 and 10.
All right, and I give him another ration of food.
Okay.
I don't know if
it probably doesn't need a whole ration, but
well, I give the meat portion because he probably didn't want the rest. Kind of shares it with him if he'll eat it as a familiar. If not, I'll eat it.
It can eat, I think. So yeah, how much of this have you been saying this all out loud?
Well, no, most of it, no. He's been trying to communicate telepathically, but they would see him, they would see the illusion of the dwarf bust, and then the him drawing marks on the ground. So then he relays that to the group who's probably standing around watching this. Lots of Goliaths. Some mages or shaman or something. And he relays the amount. And Some dwarf in a tent or something. What do you guys think?
Well, it is very interesting. I wouldn't mind getting a view, but I don't want to cost us the job.
Brophy's still like completely ignoring the group now. He's gone back to trying to get details.
Talia's up for whatever.
Um,
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry about that. I'm back.
Thalia's up for whatever, and Brophy's badgering the mechanics.
Okay, so how much information was relayed to?
all of it.
Okay. All right. So, what are your plans?
Milo's not really interested in just going into some all-out fight, and it's hard to get the element of surprise, being that we're on these floating islands and everything. Would be coming with a big ship. We do have a mission.
So,
So,
Pippin does inform you that one of the steam dragoons is out of commission, but we still feel the full complement of riflemen as well as two of the steam dragoons. In addition to that, the entire team, the entire company carries 3 additional canisters. They've already expended 2. No, sorry, two additional canisters. They've expended 2.
I say we don't poke the bear.
we've had basically a short rest here, right?
You would have a short rest, yes.
Okay, because I'm like totally out of spells. Milo would relay that in whatever way is appropriate. Like he's really tired. He's out of mana. Whatever an
Yeah, you
appropriate
need
thing
to
would be.
consult your spellbook, basically.
Yeah.
Mana is low.
So yeah, you can roll up to your charisma modifier. Sorry, not your charisma. Your spellcasting modifier in, I believe we said it was D8, right?
I believe that is right.
Dwarf needs food.
Sorry, D6s actually. Your spellcasting modifier in D6s. Thalia, you can do so as well. Additional to that, you also get your wizard's uh, arcane recovery thing on top of that.
It's D6?
Yes, correct, D6. So it's probably like, for you, it's probably, what, 5d6 or 4d6?
46 is what I have access to. So, 2 should do it.
Does that include the boon?
No. Oh, not
It's
for me.
5d6, right?
I gotta look at the boon now.
Just reminding you to make sure the numbers are right.
How much time do we have until we have to be wherever it is we have to be?
Your understanding is you have just over 2 days, possibly 3, before the rest of the islands finish aligning. The alignment itself lasts for about a week.
I'd say we go down and stop these guys then. They can only be a problem later. If we have the time now.
Actually, sorry. the islands themselves will finish like the entire, like they're kind of forming from. So if you imagine a staircase, a magical staircase, the staircase is kind of forming from the bottom going up, and the entire process will take over the course of 2 days. So the entire staircase will form at the end of the 2 days, but you can start heading up it during that time. The finally formed staircase lasts upwards to about a week before it starts, deforming and the various pieces start drifting other ways.
So we have to be on that island for a week until it starts to destabilize.
Yes. Or at least your understanding is that, well, your mission is basically to prevent a unstated third, well, not really unstated, an unknown third party from taking one of the puzzle boxes from the Guardian of the summit.
The Guardian may or may not be hostile towards us.
It was pretty. It was hinted by Lethano that the Guardian is probably on your side.
Well, it can't be a coincidence that these guys are trying something this close to the stairways at this time. I think they're setting up for something later. If we can hurt them and stop it while they're this weak, it could only be a good thing.
Well, at that point, all we need to do is disable the lifts. Anybody have any explosives?
We've got that covered, Pippin says. If there's magic, we're not really, good at, but explosives.
I understand that.
Well, speaking of magic, they had mages that could teleport, didn't they? Couldn't they simply repair whatever you destroy or create new? And that's even if they care about the Goliaths. They could just be using them as slaves until they fish out whatever it is they're trying to fish out and then leave them.
The Saunus Seeker does make a good point. It's not altogether that difficult to build a lift. You just need the correct rope and pulleys.
Perhaps I can sneak in with some of these explosives and kill all these wizards at once.
Pippin looks at you with some interest.
And there's better ways to sneak in. Magical ways. You'll have to show me how to set the explosives.
If you're worried about, I think me and the lads can handle. What did you say? Like a dozen Goliaths? Not entirely certain about the spellcasters, but I assume you lot can take care of them, right?
Maybe take them all out at once before anything even happens.
Couldn't we destroy the island, make it collapse, and not spite anybody?
Judging by the size of that island, I think not. We could shell a couple of the yurts, but like I said, we only have 2 canisters remaining.
Well, we could disable the lift, and then the biggest chunk of islands that forms the staircase up, we blow up.
And we can find out what they're up to. Maybe there's something of value or of worth to us.
I worry that blowing up the staircase won't necessarily stop whoever is going after this thing from reaching the summit, as there are at least 2 other spokes that I know of. They're somewhat distant from here.
Yes,
One of them's almost directly on the opposite side of the crater.
But we're talking about this little itty bitty island that something's on. I'm talking about the staircase down.
Oh, blowing up the. Oh, I see. Demolishing the island that's down there.
Well, if there's a staircase leading down there from the lift and the natural islands, then blow up the biggest chunk of island. Then they have to find some way to get down and up that one, while also trying to find a new way to get down from the lifts.
I suppose that would work. I don't see why we couldn't destroy one of the smaller islands, or possibly just destroy some of the chains or rope bridges. Wouldn't be too difficult.
Mm-mm.
Well, my issue is the magic users probably don't care about these Goliaths. It's just slave labor. The magic users are only after what they can haul out of the maelstrom, and then they have what they want, and then the Goliaths are no longer needed anymore. I want to prevent the magic users from getting to that point. If that makes sense.
Yeah, Kev, you there?
I'm here. I'm kind of waiting on you guys to make a decision.
Well, Rick asked a question.
The question was, I thought he was asking you guys that question.
Yeah, this is my character speaking. I just wasn't sure if I actually came through or not because it was completely quiet.
Yeah, Pippin doesn't really have a response to that. He's kind of looking at you guys like.
Yeah, our main job is to get up to the main island, and
You sure? From what I heard, we're just supposed to stop them from taking whatever at the island. I mean, if we can accomplish that without even going up, I mean, that's still accomplishing.
Well, we don't know that they're the only people going after it. I mean, taking them out is one thing, but we don't know if someone else is going to show up afterwards.
That's true, and I'm not arguing that fact, but we have a threat right here that seems to be working towards that, and we still have time.
To your point, Obadiah, Pippin says, we did find that band of Goliaths down at the folk moot that had been slaughtered.
that is true. Like I said, if we just delay them, it's going to take them a week or more to build the bridges and the lift again. So if we delay them here, then we just run up and continue on our mission.
But I can't. They're digging up. So yeah, let's go investigate it and prevent them from being an issue in the future.
So taking out one of the lift small islands.
Well,
Maybe there's a chieftain we can take out, cut off the head.
Yeah, like I've been saying, I think you guys are focusing more on the Goliaths, and I think the Goliaths are just a slave issue. I think the end game is what they're bringing out. I don't want them to bring out whatever they're looking for in the maelstrom.
Well, let's go find out what's going on down there anyways, and who's actually in charge. And what they're trying to do.
Alright, so do you set up? So I assume it's probably like far past sundown now, so I assume you're setting up in the morning, right? Well, you're taking a short rest, so yeah, definitely you're setting out in the morning.
How easy would it be for Brophy to slip down there unnoticed?
Oh. It'd take you a couple of hours, at least, but
It'd be doable?
From what you gather with your vision, there's definitely it's not like a solid pathway down, but it probably requires a little bit of hops from various gaps and crossing rope bridges and possibly like skimming across chains. But yeah, you can definitely see an entire path leading down there.
Yeah, he would probably wait until nighttime. And he would go to Obadiah and be like, look, I'm going to go scout that, and then he's just going to disappear.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah, then I guess I'd give him a couple minutes to get going, and then I would go tell everyone else that the little weird guy is going scouting. I'm not going to stop him.
Would there be a way? The Goliaths are above us or below us?
Below.
With his squirrel suit, would Milo be able to
Your
glide down
judgment,
to it?
your judgment, basing on where the island is and the angles, is yes. You're high enough that you could use the squirrel suit to reach the island.
And if he had explosives with him and he weighed more? Well, of course
Depending on
I
how
have
much
a.
explosives you plan on carrying with you.
Well, we got a bag of holding, so.
Oh yeah, then
enough-
no, yeah, you definitely could carry as much explosives as well, up to whatever a bag of holding could carry.
And yeah. And how long would it take? It took the owl. An owl flies a lot faster than I would be traveling. Probably twice as fast, I would
It
imagine.
took your owl a couple of minutes to get there.
A couple of minutes. Okay, let me check something.
I'd say it'd take you about 4 or 5 minutes of drifting, and there would probably be some skill checks involved.
Milo's last run.
This could very well be Brophy's.
That's pretty good. 4 or 5 minutes. That's not bad. Question, Kev. Setting off explosions, and I think I know the answer to this. Setting off explosions, or like a timer for explosions, and then walking away. They considered an attack if I had invisibility up.
Maybe interacting
Yes.
with an object.
It's more manipulating the object, I think, is the.
Because that ominous. Click it.
I mean, even something as simple as opening a chest will drop your invisibility, so.
Yeah. But you could definitely, use it to drift in.
Attacks or cast a spell.
Yeah, so manipulating an object doesn't drop it anymore.
I would still say that the act of like trying to light something. Yeah.
What if you already had a torch lit and it was invisible too?
A really, really long fuse.
Couldn't you hypothetically set it up where, like, you could get out and have Ralph set it off?
Or just set it up and throw a fireball at it from like 500 feet away and then cast invisibility again?
Would Milo know if Brophy's intending to go down there no matter what? So
Brophy's already left.
He's already left. So is Brophy real stealthy? Like, would he be able to sneak around really well?
I don't know. Would he?
The funny thing is, the times I've been hiding, you probably wouldn't have noticed because I was hiding good enough.
Yeah, so I don't know if Milo would know that or not. Because
you know
he
what?
could
Sure.
always
I'll say for the sake of like if you were to just put the explosives down somewhere and were to light it, like the act of you lighting it wouldn't drop the invisibility, but someone looking directly at where you planted the explosive and were lighting would see an invisible person trying to light a bundle of dynamite or whatever.
I got you.
Could have I, right before Brophy took off, like he came and saw me,
Uh huh.
Um, I would say take this, you little idiot, and I'd hand him my ring of jumping.
His eyes
Oh
real
yeah.
big, and he's like, "Ugh."
If you don't bring it back to me, I will find you and kill you. You
he,
might
get,
need this.
he gets a little wicked grin on his face and a twinkle in his eye, and he's like, "That's if you can find and catch me." And then he disappears.
Oh, I've either sent him off to his death, or he's going to investigate that for me. Either way, I've done my part.
All right. So Milo, are you planning on your crazy escapades, or are you going to wait for to see if Brophy comes back first?
Milo would explain his plan to the other two that are left. I wanted adventure, he says.
You wanted adventure, and things that bite us and try to turn us is not an adventure?
We can do that when I get back. If I do. I left the little halfling village to get away from normalcy. I think I succeeded.
You in the halfling village. That does not surprise me.
Wait, did he see me tackle the rock elemental? Or was he
Uh,
unconscious at that time?
I think he was unconscious.
Oh.
So to the so Thalia is kind of like like not doesn't really tell him not to do it.
Yeah, she doesn't tell him not to do it.
And
Actually, she says,
Obadiah.
are you going down to the island below, or are you going to go scout the Goliath village?
Oh, I was thinking of killing all those magic users.
Well, I would have told him. Well, Brophy's somewhere down there.
Brophy just took off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he talked to me like
He didn't say.
I'm assuming like after that I would have given him a couple minutes and I would go try to find Thalia and Milo to let them know that Brophy took off to go scout.
Here's my question: do you guys not have two scroll suits?
I think it was just the one.
I think it was just the one.
It's the only one that wasn't
I thought
damaged.
Obadiah had one for
No, there wasn't one that fit my big ass.
Brophy did request that Milo eventually make him one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever had enough time to stop.
No.
Yeah.
for him to
Because I mean, I do have it in my bag of holding a squirrel suit.
So I think, in all honesty, if Milo were to carry out his plans in his squirrel suit, he would get there before Brophy. Like a significant amount of time before Brophy. It'd take you at least a couple of hours to get there if you're trying to be careful about it.
Do you have a squirrel suit in your stuff as well, Milo?
We only have the one.
The one he's wearing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So Milo, I guess the question is up to you. Are you carrying
Yeah,
out this mad endeavor?
I'm gonna Leroy Jenkins it. It's gonna be Here's the thing: it's gonna be a while before he gets up there, but I don't have to start stuff right away.
Okay,
I
so
can kind of. I'm not going in. Boom, explosives. Boom. Like he's actually gonna be somewhat smart about it. Like land somewhere outside, but he's gonna be invisible as he flies in. And then he's gonna try to kind of like stealth or hide somewhere. But he would know Brophy. He would ask Obi how long Brophy left, and then he would try to figure out how long it would take Brophy to get there,
roll me a
and
survival
give
check.
Okay.
As like an estimation on Brophy, like timing wise.
Can I roll one as well since he's asking me?
You can. Well, I was going to say you could give him advantage, but he's already rolled, so sure, I'll let you roll.
It'll take him this long, roughly.
You estimate that anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, depending on how fast he is climbing the various bridges and stuff.
Man, I will send my owl along with him at least halfway. What the owl's already made the trip, so like send him about halfway and then send him back. Kind of like stay low, stay stealthy, but stay
Okay.
somewhere
So
around. And then when he comes back, I'll know.
When leaving the camp, were you going to be stealthy about it, or were you going to be basically you were only going to start creeping when you got close to the Goliath camp?
You said we're about a half mile to a full mile up, right?
Correct.
I would probably move at a quick pace until I got at least halfway. And then from there, depending if I felt if I had enough cover to kind of move quickly without trying to stealth, I would. But if I don't feel comfortable, I'd start stealthing at that point.
Okay. So your owl is able to follow his like escapades as he travels further up to 2 islands to form this 3-island chain.
Okay.
At the second island, Brophy, I'd like for you to roll me a perception check. Ralph can do so as well.
Yeah, give me a second. My Roll20 crashed. I have to reload my page. Alright, sorry, it did crash and I had to reload my character page.
Was that perception?
Correct. Okay. All right. So, Brophy, you spot on the third island. And there's actually a fourth island that's slow. It's not quite in position yet, but it's getting there. You spot on the third island. At first, what catches your eye is the telltale glow of fire being reflected off smoke, campfire smoke. And upon getting like a better vantage point, like climbing to like a top of a bluff, you can see the outlines silhouetted by firelight of Goliaths upon the third island. You see a number of them, 4, maybe 6, that you can tell just from silhouettes alone. But interspersed amongst them are smaller forms, humanoid. Not so small to be the size of yourselves or maybe dwarves, but like definitely maybe humans, maybe elves, maybe something else, that type of size. Your perception check was pretty good. You can kind of spot the telltale glint of metal around their necks in such a way that it's probably not jewelry. Like it's much too substantial to be jewelry.
Well, shit. At that point, I would stealth and start making my way back to the group to tell them the bad news.
Okay, so you abandon your trip down instead and start heading back. Okay.
Well, crap. How far away is that third island?
It is fairly close. Like you can definitely scale up to it. It's kind of like wedged itself onto the second island, in kind of like a collision way. You could definitely just climb up onto there. It wouldn't take you more than a few minutes.
You know, hell with it. This is probably just a guard post and an advance party. I'm going to keep going.
Okay, so you turn down to the side and start clambering down this pathway down. Like I said, there's rope bridges, there's chains, and etc. You haven't actually roll me an acrobatics check. It's not going to be overly too difficult. Yeah, so yeah, you no problem at all. You scale most of these chains. You run across the rope bridges fine. Even in the relative dark, the moon is still like you're not sure if it's the moon or if it's like the maelstrom beneath, which is giving this odd like almost ethereal light show, almost like an aurora borealis, but like in the shape of intermixed with thick roiling smoke. But yeah, you make it past about halfway down through this like zigzag pathway of chunky islands. You come across quite clearly a guard post anchored at the end of a rope bridge. But because you have your ring of jumping, you quickly figure out that there's actually a side path that you could quickly hop across like a 20-foot gap, jumping from a bluff to another bluff, completely bypassing this guard post. So do you wish to do that, or do you want to chance the guard post?
Oh, I'm going to be jumping like a flea.
Okay, so yeah, you activate your ring of jumping, and you just leap across the distance, accelerating air rushing past your hair. It's at this point I think you need to roll a stealth check to determine. Oh, you actually already have. Never mind. Yeah, no, actually, we'll roll a new stealth check because you were. I think that stealth check was for the third island, right?
It was for getting down to this point that I'm at.
Oh, okay. No, we'll use this one then. 13 is fine. I'll roll something. These guys, how alert are they? I don't think very alert. Yeah, no. So yeah, your passageway you pass by uneventfully. You don't hear any signs of alarm. No one seems to have spotted as you circle around the guard post and continue on your pathway down. Could you roll me another stealth check?
I sure can. Oh boy.
Okay, excellent. So you get down to the camp, no problem. You come onto this camp that's on this oddly shaped rock, kind of like almost like a crescent, except one side is a bit pointed than the other. Tear shaped drop, I think would be the term, like a curved tear shape. And off the point of the tear shape, you can see what appears to be a lifting mechanism of some kind, at least a pair of lifts. One is currently up, the other one is clearly currently down in the maelstrom. At the oval shape of the teardrop section, there is a mid-sized encampment of some kind. You can see 4 yurts as well as a large, more like a square-shaped type tent. More traditionally seen from, people like, definitely not like Goliath. You can tell that the yurts are clearly of Goliath manufacture, whereas the large square type shape pavilion seems to be something you would expect more to see from your friends or the civilized folk. In the center of this encampment, surrounding these 5 yurts and this pavilion, is a large bonfire. Could you roll me a perception check? Okay. You notice an oddity with the bonfire. The bonfire seems abnormally large for the amount of fuel that is piled on there. You suspect that possibly the bonfire itself is laced with accelerant or some kind. For what purpose, you're not entirely sure. And around the edges of the campsite, you can see somewhat makeshift dugout trenches that are bordered on the inside by like little half walls, full walls for you, but half walls for a Goliath. So like 3 feet, 4 feet tall. And these trenches are at the bottom. You can see the telltale glint of like sharpened sticks, as well as some kind of like water maybe, or mud. It is at this point, I think, halfway down, Milo, you would have had the decision whether to jump or not, as he was nearing the camp.
Yeah, I wanted to ask what I asked in the chat there for Pippin or Pip, and just to see if we could get in trouble, how long it would take for their guns of the ship to be in striking range.
He says if we can call upon the ship, especially at these altitudes, and those altitudes down there, for the ship to make to support us. I would say on a moment's notice, without prior notice, they could probably be in position within 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Ooh. Would they be visible to, like, clearly visible to everybody below at that point?
Yes, I think unless their guards are woefully incompetent, they would see the ship coming from a fair bit away. It's not the most subtle thing.
Okay.
In fact, I'm pretty sure they would have noticed the ship landing us on this island, which is the reason why they launched their attack.
Guys, so they know we're in the area as well. So yeah, when he, at some point, the bird, I would imagine, because you had me roll the perception check, that the bird understands that there's guards down there.
Yeah.
Like the next step down or a little bit down.
So there's a guard post like somewhere about here. I'll draw it. About halfway down through the chunky island pathway.
So I'm hopefully I'm not metaing, but I metagaming. But I knew it would take him, with guards and other people now impeding his way, that would take a little bit longer. So Milo's goal is to fly down there invisibly, and get down there somewhere around the same time as where Brophy would be down there. But Milo plans on landing away from the main group so that he doesn't land and kick up stones and create a huge mess.
Basically like that.
Yep.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Roll me an acrobatics check. Just to see how well you handle your squirrel suit. Oh yeah. No, like a silent, almost like a silent owl.
I'm a
the world's most deadliest night predator.
I'm a gnomeja.
You sail down through the night, completely invisible, silent, deadly bird of prey.
And I want my familiars somewhere around as well.
Yeah.
Maybe probably flying ahead of me or something, I would imagine.
Okay. But yeah, you land upon this island that kind of overlooks, not directly overlooks, but it's kind of like off to one side. You can get from this island to that island in a moment, probably less than 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And you can kind of see the position, although you don't actually see him because he's quite stealthy. You see the location indicated by the owl where it last saw Brophy. However, you don't actually see him because he is, stealthy F.
Yeah, he would have no idea. So if he goes into this, he's gonna be watching for like an overwatch, and have the owl kind of Land on a tree somewhere down there on the main area, kind of watching what's going on.
Okay.
And if he sees something strange happening, or if he sees Brophy, then he'll have an idea of where he's at. But he's gonna wait a little while, so that he doesn't give Brophy's position away or inadvertently get Brophy killed.
Are you sure that's not an objective? No, I'm just kidding.
Not yet.
All right. Let me just roughly draw out this little encampment so you guys get a clearer picture of what I mean. So there's a large bonfire in the center. Actually, I will. Am I on the right page? Yeah, I'm on the right page. I will put in a background color so we can actually see what's more going on. Maybe increase the opacity. No, that's still no good. Darken the lines.
That did some.
So there's a bonfire in the center of the camp. It is large, abnormally large for its fuel source. You suspect that there is accelerant involved for whatever reason. There is a large center tent, pavilion style. I think they're called like wedding tents essentially.
Yeah.
And then kind of bracketing the fire is several yurts of smaller size. And then the island itself is in a tear-shaped pattern. What's the easiest way to draw this?
Probably just freehand.
Here, yeah, I'll move it up to here. Something like that. And then there is a scaffolding, rigging, etc. hanging off the side over here. Like so. And then around the exterior of the camp, actually I probably made the island a little bit too small, but that's fine. There is a roughly dug out trenches. You could almost call them moats with half walls.
And does it look like this scaffolding is going to be what's getting everybody up and down?
Yes, it does look like that. And then halfway in between the camp, there is a couple of what look to be ramshackle, put together, like almost like storage sheds of some kind. You suspect they are. And then in front of which there is a tall structure that resembles either a hunting platform or some sort of watchtower. And it is well lit. There are several lanterns hanging off its side. There is a pathway that leads from the shelter, from the settlement to the scaffolding structure. And then there is another pathway leading up towards your direction, Brophy, going up like a rope bridge onto a secondary island. And then Milo, you're kind of like off in this direction on an island that's much higher overhead. In addition to that, there are three obelisks. Four. 1, 2, 3. There are three obelisks. Two set at, then they're painted with some kind of ink that's either fluorescent in the light or it's reflecting the firelight. Two of which sit at the mouth of each entrance. and then one sits to the right-hand side of the large pavilion-like wedding structure tent thing. Is any of that unclear?
Nope, I pretty much got it.
And between each of you, you can see clear evidence of about 6 to 7 Goliaths generally just hang around the campfire, and occasionally you'll see one of them enter one of these yurts, and occasionally another one would come out from another one of these yurts.
Baga.
Where were the magic users in that rectangle one?
Yes, from what you understand, your owl told you that there is a dwarf and 2 magic using Goliaths inside that. And in fact, your owl quite pointedly points out to you that these 2 magic using Goliaths were the ones that were throwing fireballs at you. So, Brophy, we'll take you first. Unless you've got something to interject, feel free to do so, Milo. But Brophy, what are you doing?
Okay, does it look like I can get down this rope bridge without really being seen?
It's not well lit. So if whatever's guarding the rope bridge doesn't have dark vision, and even if it does have dark vision, you're fairly far out from the camp. Let's say you are like almost 200 feet out from the camp. So you suspect you could at least get to the almost completely across the rope bridge without being seen. And then even then, they would need to have dark vision or be basically right on top of you.
Okay, the second question. Is there any sort of path going down to these buildings that's not really well lit?
There is no path, but again, it's just open ground with interspersed of small vegetation and random chunks of rock.
Oh yeah, I kind of meant path kind of loosely. Just any way to get kind of down here without hopefully being seen.
You could easily walk or scramble from there to there.
Okay. Probably being a little more brave than I should be for my character at this point, but his curiosity's piqued. So he is going to attempt to get down to this first guard shack, or storage shack.
Okay, so we'll keep your previous stealth check, which is what that was for. The ridiculously high one. So yeah, you get to the other side of the bridge without drawing any signs of alarm. There's no cries, there's no callouts. You do, from your closer vantage point, see that there is indeed a pair of Goliaths, armed with spears, and one of them's holding a shield and an axe. They're lazing about by the big, Goliath. Sorry, the big obelisk post, whatever they're called. I'll draw them as little circles. Maybe red circles of darker red interior. However, they seem more intent on speaking with each other, and none of them. Well, one of them's kind of facing in your direction, but he's not on lookout. He's just having a chat.
Horrible sentries.
So, what is your next plan?
Probably, if I can get away with it, scamper along this way until I'm kind of in the middle from these 2 points.
Okay.
And then cut down towards this building. Basically, I want to get to it and see what the heck they have in these 2.
Okay, roll me a stealth check. And I will roll a couple of something.
Also, as I'm walking by, I imagine, right in here, within these 2 squares, I could see directly to this campfire.
Yep.
I'd like to try to roll an Arcana. Keyword I'm
Okay.
going to try. And I know they summoned a rock elemental, and this thing looks huge. So I wanted
Yeah.
to see if I can tell if it's a fire elemental.
Okay, sure. Roll me an Arcana check. Generally speaking, elementals tend to have like humanoid shapes for whatever reason. From what you can tell, this is just an abnormally large bonfire.
Sounds good to me.
You're not entirely sure what they're burning. Whatever they're burning isn't giving off much smoke.
Would I be able to try to make a perception check to see what it is?
Sure, you have that feature, so sure. Yeah, it's hard to tell against the firelight and the glint and everything.
Too busy trying to not be seen myself.
Yeah. You suspect that if you could probably get a close look, but you'd have to put yourself in a more obvious location. And at the moment, you're like peering between some bushes and some rock.
Yeah, I'm not that curious.
But yeah, you managed to, ducking from boulder to rock to bush and etc., manage to make your way all the way down south up to the edge of the corner of one of these rock buildings without triggering any kind of alarm or challenge. You see atop the sentry tower, the guard tower, 2 Goliaths, 1 female, 1 male. These 2 seem to be more on point. One of them, as you're like traveling across the field, you can see that one of them is carrying a bullseye lantern, and they're periodically going to different corners of different towers and just kind of like shining the bullseye lantern around down on the grounds beneath them. And then like occasionally, like you're not entirely sure like what the schedule is or whatever, but you see the female Goliath walk over and kind of kick the male Goliath who's kind of seated in a chair reading a book or something. And then they exchange the bullseye lantern. The female like sits down. The male starts to basically walk around, peering around. They don't seem to have noticed you're scurrying there. Let's just say you timed your dashes perfectly well to avoid the spotlights.
Prince of Persia shit right here.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'd try to find the door. I'm going to assume it's on the same side as the path is.
So I'm going to give you advantage because you can see them and they can't see you. So like you can choose your timing. But roll me a stealth check. I'll roll a. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, I don't even need to roll because I'll roll anyway just for laughs. No, yeah. There's no way that they can reach 27. So stealthily, then I don't know, an adjective. Never mind. So yeah, you find the door indeed on the side that you suspect that would be facing the tower. However, well, maybe not however, but I should say you find the door and it is locked with a nice big brass padlock.
Yeah, that might not pose a difficult barrier. It might. Who knows? I'll try to slide a hand it open.
Sure. It gives you a little bit more trouble than you initially thought it would. It just looked like, how good could a Goliath padlock be? You think to yourself. Evidently, quite good. You still managed to get it open after a while, but you had to basically duck into that alleyway in between the 2 buildings a couple of times as the guards made their rounds. But eventually you managed to, and hoping that the guards don't notice the pin and pivot sticking out of the lock. But evidently they don't. And eventually you get the padlock off, and you slip into the building. And within, you find what appears to be a small workshop of some kind. There is a workbench, a vise, various hammers, chisels, wrenches, etc. hanging off sockets on the wall. In one corner of the building is what appears to be a pile of scrap in somewhat worse condition, like corroded, pitted, covered in weird like fungus, whatever it is. And on top of another bench that's not a workbench, just like a cabinet, not a cabinet, a counter, are various pieces of machinery and other types of oddities that you. What's your background, city dweller? That you don't really recognize.
Does any of it look really important?
Roll me an investigation check. You spot one of the pieces is the eyepiece. It's snapped off. It's like it looks like it's been. I'll say the full thing through. It's an eye. It looks like the eyepiece of an eyeglass. At least the first third of it. However, the end, the broken end of the eyeglass looks like as it has been twisted, warped off from the eyeglass. So it's non-functional. It's just a piece of eyeglass. That looks like the immediate thing that catches your attention because you don't own one, but you have one.
Well, it caught my attention. It's going in my backpack.
Okay.
And then I will try for the second building, and then probably don't want to push my luck, and I would make my way back to camp to tell the party what I found.
Okay.
Probably sleep.
You find the second building has no lock on it, but when you try and open it, you find that it is either locked from the inside, or it's barred from the inside, or it doesn't want to open.
Any windows?
No, the building lacks windows. Although you suspect that if you really wanted to, the door doesn't look like it's made out of solid steel or anything. You could kick down the door if you wanted to, but whether or not that's a wise idea, I leave that up to you.
Yeah, no. What side are the hinges on?
The hinges evidently are on the other side.
And what are the walls made of?
Wood as well. Thin-ish wood.
What time is it?
It's around about midnight, probably, by this point.
Let me check my equipment real quick. I've only got hand axes, and I don't want to chop at it. It'd probably take more time than I have to use a knife to try to carve a small hole quietly into the wall.
Okay.
I'm just going to assume that this is the mages' either quarters or their storage area. And I'm probably just going to try to make my way back up to the party, because I don't know Milo's here.
Okay, so Milo, you didn't interject during all that time, but did you want to do anything while this was going on? Or is he BRB?
I think he's still away.
Yeah, he might be still away. Okay. Well, unless he's going to do anything, I'm going to say that you managed to, after somewhat longer, by the time you get back, it's probably like 3 a.m. You managed to get back to your party. How much do you tell them, and what do you tell them?
Oh, I'll tell them everything, and I'll show the little eyepiece that I found. Kind of proud of myself.
Okay, so in the firelight, So it's back in with your companions. When it's much more well lit, you notice that the lens of the eyepiece itself is bordered by tiny, intricate runic carving of an elven script. So the edge of the lens is carved with a circular elven script. And then the metal-like material of the actual eyepiece itself, the bracket, also has elven carving on it. That Thalia you can read. It's an ancient Elvish script, and it says the equivalent of for queen and country, and it has a logo like near of some kind emblazoned atop the 12 o'clock mark on it, and the rest of the script obviously loops around from 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
So if I'm actually going to draw this, I should draw it on some more paper. She finds it interesting. But is she getting that chaos feeling from what's her name?
No, you are not. Chaos feeling? Could you elaborate?
Because you said that, or change feeling. I am an agent of the dawn and moon, a bringer of change. You said I would know when change was coming.
Yeah, no. You do not get any supernatural premonition about this piece of what appears to be just a broken eyepiece of a spyglass.
Oh, okay. So it's probably an ancient elven thing then. But still, she's gonna keep it.
All right, Milo. So after a while, I think you do, because you're specifically looking for him. You catch sight of surreptitious movement a couple of times on the far side of the encampment, but beyond that, you don't see any further signs of Brophy. And evidently, he didn't trigger any types of alarms or anything. And after about, I don't know what you would do. What would you do? I should ask you.
Well, it took him like 5 minutes to get down, and then what the stuff that he's doing, like how much time has elapsed?
Probably overall the entire thing that he's doing, probably like 10 minutes-ish, 20 minutes.
All right. I mean, Milo's trying to observe to see, because he doesn't want to kill Brophy, and B, I mean, he's ready. It will be hard to get out of here, so he would love to kill as many of these Goliaths and other people that were attacking us as possible. But he's not stupid. It's not a suicide mission either. So for right now, he's just kind of watching, but he's only got about an hour on his invisibility. So
okay, so about halfway through your invisibility, you don't see any further signs of Brophy. Like I said, you caught a couple of surreptitious movements, like shadows flitting across the landscape on the far side of the encampment about 20 minutes ago. But since then, you've spotted no signs of activity, and you suspect that either he's not going to do anything further and he's already left, or he's waiting for something. You're not entirely sure.
This is interesting because I have no idea because I had to step away for a second. Did I see him go into the main area where all the different tents are set up and the big fire in the middle?
No, you did not. In fact, you saw very little of him. In fact, the only signs that you saw of him were not of him, but like possibly what you thought were him. Basically like a shadow darting from like a bush to a rock. and that was about it. Because he rolled ridiculously high in his stealth.
Yeah. Is there in that half an hour? Is there any more odd, like any things I noticed with the like troop movements, or are they kind of just hunkered down for the night?
Okay, so give me I think an investigation check would be appropriate here. Okay, so it's only a rough estimation because you're not close enough to distinguish individual characteristics. But you count all up, you suspect that there's roughly about 20 Goliaths in this camp. You spotted various different like Goliaths holding different types of weapons and etc. And you kind of like count them into different classifications, and then you like counted different numbers of them, and then like there's a bit of a margin of error, but you guesstimate that there's about 20 Goliaths in this encampment.
Is a lot. Ralph also would be. Where was the last time that I saw Brophy?
You saw signs of him on the far side of the encampment. So if I were to point over here, actually I'm wrong. Over here somewhere, but that was like 20 minutes ago.
I sent Ralph just kind of scouting in that area just to see if he sees them.
Okay, roll me a perception check with Ralph. And Brophy, could you roll me a retroactive stealth check for leaving?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it matters what your owl rolls.
Yeah, that's all right.
So yeah, your owl sees no signs of him.
That's about as good as he gets. So, damn. I am going to. Whew. Do I know how long of a fuse these explosives had?
What explosives were they, by the way?
I mean, he just wanted explosives big enough to really, to basically as much as he could fit in his bag of holding that they would give him.
So what you're saying is you took that defective suit that was essentially a walking bomb.
I don't think that fit in a bag of holding.
Give me 1 moment while I look something.
Oh my god.
All right, so I think they gave you 3 kegs
Oh God.
of what essentially is smokeless powder, and the sergeant sorry, not sergeant, sorry, Lance Corporal. Yeah, it would be Lance Corporal Cheeky. So yeah, Lance Corporal Cheeky rigged you up a fuse, and she told you that she can rig it from anywhere from like a few seconds to like 10 minutes. Beyond that, like you start running into issues with fuses kinking or like getting wet or not possibly being reliable.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's too long of a fuse. Too short of a fuse, I can't get away, which would be hard to do anyway. Too long of a fuse, they have a lot of chances to see it and then to put it out.
Yeah.
If it works like that, like they could stomp it out or cut it or whatever.
They could easily just stomp it out if they were to find it. Yeah.
And so in the main area, yeah, you said there was some Goliaths like around the fire, essentially.
There are about 5 or 6 Goliaths at any given point. Occasionally there are more, occasionally there are less.
So you know what? I would have told him like a 1 minute timer or fuse.
Cheeky as a sheep, but yeah, sure.
I would have told her that, and I would I guess the first thing is to get in there. That's like the thing around the camp was about 3 feet high, or 3 to 4 feet high.
Although it occurs to you that if you were, crazy enough, you could just fly down and land in the camp.
Yeah, I think I would like to land on the outside of that, just so I don't
Okay.
go right in there and probably definitely be seen.
Oh yes. Also, I need you to roll another acrobatics check, Brophy, to get past that particular ledge, to bypass the way station, the outpost. I mean, the guard post. What am I trying to say?
Long story short, acrobatics.
Yes.
If.
Yeah, you have the ring of jumping, so it's fine. An 11 is fine. It's a bit of an odd angle, and you have to scrabble a bit, like on the ledge on the other end. But yeah, you think without the ring of jumping you might have been in trouble, but with it, you do it easily enough.
Are there other ledges and islands below this? Like, if I were to jump off this, I would be able to like get away from these people by just jumping off and flying to
There,
over.
you look, and there is, but they are mostly partially in the maelstrom, or at least in the top layer of it.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, we'll see what happens. It may be necessary.
Okay, so would you indicate where you would like to land? You pretty much have free run of like anywhere from this point towards the east. So there, okay. And you're invisible, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Could you roll me an acrobatics check as well as a stealth check? I assume you're trying, even despite being invisible, you're trying to be stealthy about this, yes?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's not the most graceful landing. You tumble a bit when you land. You don't take any damage or anything. However, you do make a little bit of a ruckus. Um, um, and there's like, roll me a perception check.
All right. I would send Ralph over to the opposite side, and he would just kind of sit on the edge and who a little bit.
You can also, yeah. Okay, so you don't you land, you tumble a little bit, you roll, you kind of wait for a moment to see if you've drawn any inadvertent attention. No one calls out an alarm or anything. Ralph flies to the other side. It telepathically communicates to you, like a sense of wariness, and other information that you already know, like various Goliaths here and there. It's on guard, basically.
So, in addition to what I've seen, now that I'm a little bit closer with these structures, do I detect without casting the detect magic spell? Well, yeah, no, I'm invisible. I don't want to do that. That they're infused magically. Like, is there anything protecting, warding these that I can see?
You can make an Arcana check to see for glyphs and etc. In fact, I will actually even give you advantage for reasons. which I won't share just yet. So yeah, you can see amongst the edges of the main pavilion tent, quite intricate braiding, rune work braided into the tassels, no, whatever it is that goes around the edges of cloth. And you recognize the telltale anchor points of an alarm spell. You don't think it's triggered just yet, because most likely you would know about it but via people trying to murder you.
The Goliath surrounding you?
Yeah, so you don't suspect you've triggered the alarm spell yet, but there's definitely the main tent is definitely protected by an alarm spell, and you're not entirely sure, what exactly its parameters are.
The main tent, anyway, is.
Yeah, the main tent, correct.
How many? What, 2 or 3 kegs that I had?
You had 3. Each had their own 1-minute fuse.
So I am going to. Try to climb over this wall and sneak back here where I'm going to ping.
Okay, so I should tell you that the 3-foot walls are faced in front with a 3-foot deep trench, roughly dug out with sharpened sticks and poles stuck to the bottom of them with a layer of water or mud. You can try and finesse your way through them.
I'll walk around.
You don't want to jump down into it.
Yeah, I'll walk around, and I'm invisible, so I'll try to walk around and see if I can get closer to one of these 2 entrance points.
Okay, roll me a stealth check. I'll actually roll something this time. Roll me a perception check. Okay. So.
I'm going to roll Ralph too.
Yes, roll Ralph too. To be fair.
He takes forever to load. I don't know
why. We should just memorize what Ralph's.
Yeah.
It's just +3, right? So just roll 1d20 +3.
You can also make a custom skill roll in your main character sheet. Just call it Ralph's perception and stealth.
Okay, your owl, Ralph, as you're making your way, I assume you're making your way anti-clockwise around the top of the camera.
I was actually thinking, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Okay, so as your elf is as you're making your way around and your owl circles around overhead, abruptly it communicates to you a sense of urgent alarm directed at you, on you, not itself. It's not in danger, you're in danger. How do you react?
I am going to try to. Well, I'm already trying to be stealthy.
You could just stop and remain still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually gonna try to. I don't know if there's any place to hide. I have this pit full of sticks.
There are shrubbery and chunks of small stone nearby that you could probably go prone behind.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so roll me a stealth check. You're about here.
I rolled everything I'm rolling is shit.
That's amazing. What's their perception?
12 is actually it wasn't a 12. It was a 10. I think it's the highest I've rolled besides
their perception bonus is +0.
Oh man.
Okay. So as your owl communicates to you this sense of danger, you kind of like half panic, and jump behind a bush and then just go prone. And you watch as from out of the moat, the trench moat, surges an amorphous form, twisting and falling in upon itself, but then surging back upwards. And it kind of looms in your general direction, gurgling this. You recognize it as a water elemental, large in size. Within the center of the water elemental, you see some sort of like a prism of some kind, a white prism, that's kind of like centered in its form, um, and it kind of looms in your general direction, gurgling, and surging, but it doesn't appear to find whatever it's looking for. And after about 30 or 40 seconds, it slowly subsides back down into the moat.
Fuck it. He's gonna keep going.
Okay, roll me another stealth check. Oh, nice. I am actually going to give them advantage this time because it is on alert. But it did not roll high enough. Actually, no, that was only one. That should have been 2d20, keep one. Yeah, so it did not roll high enough. Occasionally, as you're sneaking past, you hear like the sound of something shifting or moving, in the moat, and you would hide. And this thing would like be searching around like near you, not necessarily like directly near you, but like it's definitely looking for something. But it doesn't seem to find you as you sneak all the way across to the far side of the camp, and kind of get away from the moat a little bit. You see here, at this particular entrance, there is a large obelisk, like 12 foot tall, beside of which are two, these red dots represent two Goliaths, one holding a shield and an axe, the other one holding like a long spear. They appear to be in conversation with each other, idly, maybe a little bit bored. They're technically guards, but they don't seem to be on guard. They just seem to be bored.
One question about is this a rope bridge or just like a series
It
of
is a rope
ropes?
bridge. Yes.
Okay, so
it is a pair of ropes, that dangle other ropes, down to planks. So it's like a planked bridge.
do I know what the radius of the explosion would be from these kegs?
A single keg would be more than sufficient to destroy this bridge.
In the main camp area?
A single keg could probably destroy one of the yurts, like completely, or possibly the main pavilion tent, depending on factors.
Okay. So, being wary of the alarm spell that I saw on it, Milo would generally know how far away. Well, I guess it depends on the parameters of what they have set up with alarm.
Yeah.
Sorry, just trying to think if he's gonna try to stay out of the alarm capabilities, but he's gonna try to get over here.
Okay. So you're going to try and sneak past the two guards invisibly.
Yes.
Okay. So they are not paying attention. So I'm going to give them just a single roll. I would give them disadvantage, but there's two of them. But I'm just going to give them a single roll instead. So roll me a stealth check. they do have +1. But no, that doesn't matter because they roll a 4, unless you're going to roll lower than a number. Yeah. So, however, as you approach the gate, there is a tremor through the ground, like almost like a small earthquake. Pretty localized because you don't like nothing else is shaking near you. And the two guards kind of like stop their conversation, and they glance to one side at the big 12-foot boulder beside them, and then they kind of like heft their weapons a little bit and then turn to look out towards the rope bridge.
Ralph's gonna land on the nearest hut to him, actually the one right here, and he's gonna just hoo a couple times and then fly over to another one.
Okay. So one of the guards, kind of like annoyed, shoos the elk and tries to like chase it away, like out of the camp. So he actually leaves his post, and is kind of chasing Ralph around on the camp, and other Goliaths laugh at him, and he just gets more angry. Like now he's fully invested, and he has to defeat the owl. He doesn't seem to be moving into like kill the owl territory yet, but it's definitely going in that direction. At the moment, it's just like it's the difference between like chasing a pigeon away that wants to eat your sandwich and murdering a pigeon because it ate your sandwich.
Got ya.
I've never felt that rage, but I have a feeling that it would be incredible. That fucking bird ate my sandwich.
Yeah. So do you wish to continue trying to sneak past this guard?
Well, the one thing you said that boulder kind of activated at that point. Well, I think Milo would kind of, especially after seeing the water elemental, kind of might.
Yeah, roll me an Arcana check with advantage. Yeah. You recall. I mean, you got punched out by that other earth elemental, right?
Yeah.
So you recall that the earth elemental had a gem in its forehead, like a ruby gem that Obadiah. Well, you didn't see Obadiah shoot it, but this obelisk contains near the tip of the obelisk. Indeed, is embedded a red gem.
Got ya.
You're not entirely sure how earth elementals see, but you get a sense that they might be able to see things that are otherwise invisible, or something, or sense them, maybe.
All right, well, this isn't working out very well. So Milo is not going to go directly into. Oh man, I got like right within the edges of this area, right? Like he's over the rope bridge and he's kind of like partially in the encampment.
Are you on the same page as I am? Yeah, I think you would have been avoiding them, so you would have been like across the. You're about halfway through the gateway, almost. You're still on this side of it, so you're not on the other side of it. But and the guard is definitely—he's not really looking in your direction. You're off to his left, but he's definitely on alert now.
Okay, so Milo is gonna walk over here, and he's partially obscured now. Is there's like an area for him to set down where he won't be seen in putting down one of the barrels?
Yeah. Well, the barrel is invisible until it leaves your possession. So,
Well, that's what I mean. He's taking it out to.
however, you're not entirely sure. You see in evidence about 100 feet away that there's like a guard tower, and there's someone up there waving a bullseye lantern around in a lazy pattern, kind of like a lighthouse. It occasionally, every few minutes or so, would pass in this general direction.
All right. He's gonna try to hide. There were bushes around there, so he's gonna try to hide it like in one of the bushes.
Okay.
And then he's gonna try to sneak over here to this other bridge.
You
Just
light
on.
it?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Just on the outside and put one of the barrels on it.
So you're saying you put one like around here somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you put the second one?
Well, the first one was right near him where he is now. The second one is I'll ping.
You can move your token, by the way, as well. Okay. You notice that there is a smaller obelisk here, and then this one's only like 5 foot tall. It does, however, contain the same red gem. You're about 40 feet away from it, 40 or 50 feet away from it.
So he'll try to partially conceal this this one as well.
Okay, so you're just putting it near the road?
Yeah, is this a rope bridge as well, or is this a
No,
road?
this is just a dirt path.
Oh, okay. So,
See to your south a couple of like storage sheds made out of cheap wood. I think it is at this time it is appropriate for me to make a roll. You're invisible, so
Yep.
but this is not part of that roll. This is a different roll. If you want to roll me a stealth check with advantage as well, that's fine. This is a different roll. Sorry, I keep doing 1d. Oh, 17. So yeah, I guess you plant an explosive on this at the base of this watchtower.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you light it?
Yep. And then I run to the other one that I had set up.
So your heart, you quickly light this barrel underneath this tower, and then you begin to dash across the terrain. And before you get about 10 feet, there is a cry of alarm from the tower. You glance back quickly, and you see that the person on the tower is pointing his what's it called, bullseye lantern.
Yep.
At this shed, and he is gesticulating and waving at the camp. Can you understand Goliath?
Nope.
Okay, so you do not understand what he's shouting, but he's pointing his bullseye lantern at the shed, and he's waving at the camp, and there are sounds of warriors gathering from the camp, headed in this direction. So
Good.
when you get to that barrel, you see about 6 or 7 Goliaths exiting from this gate, running for the shed, holding in various dress. Some only with partial armor, others no armor, wielding various weapons. So you duck down by this moat, that's partially like halfway in the moat. Kay, do you light it as well?
Yep.
Make me a stealth check. before I make this roll, actually, you can modify it afterwards.
Huh?
Okay, so you see as 5 of them go running down the pathway, one of them catches your flint and tinder out of the like your flint and steel out of the corner of your eye as you light the fuse. He calls out an alarm, and 2 of the other ones stop and turn back to look at him, and he's pointed in your direction, yelling something. Do you modify the fuse? You can choose to fold the fuse itself to shorten the time.
Yeah, I would like to shorten the time for.
Okay.
Now that they're alert, I would like to shorten the time to. Oh man, I don't know. As long as I'm out of the blast radius, maybe 20 seconds, or let's say 24 seconds.
Roll me a sleight of hand check to see how well you do this.
All right. Where's my sleight of hand?
It is 1d20 plus dex, and if you have proficiency, also that as well. Okay.
No, I don't need proficiency.
Okay, so is it +4? Is your dex really +4?
Yep.
Holy shit! Okay, so I will modify this.
Oh, that's my bad. +2. Sorry about that.
So it's a 5. So I'm going to modify this roll. Okay, so yeah, you light the fuse about a third of the way down. It slips from your hand a little bit and catches a little bit lower than you would like. But I assume you immediately jump up and skedaddle, right?
Oh yeah, he's heading out and headed to the rope bridge.
Yeah, so as you run away, 3 Goliaths are running in the direction where you were, going to investigate the thing. And as you sprint away, you turn your way back and look, and there appears to be 3 Goliaths looking down at whatever the fuck this thing is. And then there's a blindingly loud flash as fireworks light up the night sky. And for a moment, you're momentarily blinded as all of your night vision is washed out by this flare of light, and cries of alarm go up through the camp. Far off in the distance, Brophy, while you're headed halfway up, as you go to jump that little divide, the second time headed back up, you hear in the distance behind you a distant rattling boom that is kind of weird, because in the situation where you're in, like, it echoes off various floating islands, and it's quite an acoustic experience that you've never experienced before. It's not like a mountain range. It's more like there are various reflective dishes, like, positioned through the sky. So you hear like one boom, and then like a dozen different volume booms coming from different directions at different intervals. And back up at the tower, you guys hear in the distance a low thud. And then, like, about 30 seconds later, or more, 40 seconds later, another thud. And Milo, by the time you get across the bridge and head back up the island a little bit, your second bomb goes off.
Okay. As he goes halfway up the bridge, he's going to pull out the last keg and light it on the bridge.
Okay. How many?
This one, I mean, they're all heading south, so he's gonna try to do the same thing. Like, how long is the rope bridge? How long will it take me to get up to the next?
The rope bridge is about 6.
Okay, so yeah, so like 30 seconds.
Okay. Again, roll me a sleight of hand check. Although obviously this time the tolerances are a little bit longer.
I fixed the bonus. I can't roll for shit. I don't know how I'm still alive.
So again, you go to light the fuse at halfway, but like some trick of like maybe the gusting wind from the explosion or something
The sweat from his brow.
askew. Knocks the fuse askew, and you light it much shorter than you intended to light it. You suspect you have about like 20 seconds or 15 seconds or so.
Haul ass as fast as his little gnome legs can take him up the rope bridge.
So yeah, you run away. The explosion doesn't cause you any damage when it goes off, but it does catch you off balance and kind of throw you prone. More like you stumble and fall, and then you turn back and you watch where the bridge was, and it's just now it's this flaming, but basically it's trailing down into the maelstrom beneath, trailing burning ember and smoke and planks as they rain down from above. And you guys flee back to the keep, I guess.
Yeah,
suppose.
heading away as fast as I can.
Okay, I have a question to ask you, Milo. First, can you head in back towards the keep, or do you wait at the gap? And two, how does Perrin get across the gap? Unless he's going to just directly sneak right entry post.
He's gonna try to see if Ralph can distract the guy. I think my invisibility might run out by the time he gets there.
Yeah, although you could use.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I would cast that again, but I would ask Ralph to distract the guard.
Okay. So stick with advantage.
Okay.
And I will roll a perception check with disadvantage. And well, never mind. They can't even roll 22, so it's fine. So yeah,
best roll I had all night.
You managed to, with your owl's assistance. Actually, no, your owl would be smart enough not to. You're the one who planting the bomb. But you would have communicated to your owl not to go near the fucking bomb.
Yeah, I mean he. Yeah, I would do that.
So yeah, so you guys both reach back to the camp. Pippin meets you at the gate, looking a little bit worried. And I think this is to put a pin in it and conclude Milo's and Brophy's excellent adventures. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you didn't get to do much today, Robin and Obi.
That's okay.
That's no big deal.
What did the owl the bombs it killed at least?
On
his way. If not, no big deal.
Let's see how high your owl can count. Can you roll me a 1d10, 1d20 plus? No, 1d10 plus your owl's intel. No, 1d20 plus or minus your owl's intelligence modifier.
1 second.
What is an owl's intelligence modifier? Like -3?
Probably, yeah, 3 or 4. They're probably a 2 intelligence. I would take it. It's -4. He has 2 intelligence.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we'll
did
say,
you want a straight intelligence? Is that what I'm rolling?
yeah, sure, a straight intelligence roll. Oh wow, yeah. So your owl responds 12. Like question
Awesome.
mark. Like not entirely sure if it's 12, but like somewhere around there.
Milo, before he would be grinning as soon as he got that information. He would be grinning all the way back to the group. And the last thing that he would do, like the next day, when he got back to the group, he'd talk about what he saw and that was the dumbest thing I've ever done. He said, and then the terrorists win. And then he would ritually cast the following, I guess in common, and it would just basically say, "Fuck you."
I'd walk up to Brophy, not say anything, and just put my hand out.
He'll kind of look sad and slowly and regretfully pull the ring off and hand it back.
Oh, glad you didn't die.
Why? Because you would have lost your ring, and you'll walk off.
Yes, it cost 250 gold.
So Milo and Brophy, if you do not already have it, actually no, we have multiple inspiration banking, so go ahead and add an inspiration. And yes, again, apologies to Robin and Obi.
It's fine.
It's fine. I deserved it because in Pren's game last Wednesday, I took a big chunk of it.
Okay, and I've actually got to go build a garden. Right, it seems like a strange sentence, but I've got to go build a garden later this afternoon on my brother's property. So,
well, you are a hobbit.
Oh.
Wow. So okay, here's the thing. Maybe you guys can solve this problem for me. I'll actually doodle this on Roll20 because maybe you guys are smart, unlike hobbits.
Hobbits all know about gardening.
Who are just steadfast. But okay, so at the moment, right, my brother wants to build a hexagonal flower box, right? So like that. Like that. And you need corner posts for the flower box, right? And so he's purchased essentially like a circular corner post, and they've been cut into 4 pieces. So each piece of the corner post is 90 degrees followed by a curvature, right? You guys can see all this, right?
Yeah.
And so the problem here at the moment is that 90 degrees is not 120 degrees, which is what the edges of one of these hexagonal flower garden things are. So we want to make a cut here at the moment to make this post 120 degrees, right? You get what I'm saying?
Couldn't you just get another post, cut it into quarters like that, and then cut those quarters into eighths and add 1/8 to the quarter?
But 1/8 to the quarter would be not 120 degrees. It would be plus 45. Be 100. No. Oh, so you're saying cut one of these into 3 pieces, essentially.
No, I was just saying cut one of those quarters in half so you have a half and an eighth.
Cut one of the posts in half.
Yeah, like the top one. So essentially you just have this quarter and this eighth.
But that wouldn't form 120 degrees though. That would form, actually, what would that form?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. So this isn't the problem. Cutting this isn't the problem. Okay, like cutting it 120 degrees is not the problem. The problem is that the saw blade that we have isn't long enough to cut all the way through. So it would end up like snapping off at the end and burring, and we don't want that. So do you guys see a solution to cutting this into a 120 degree corner with the blade not being long enough to cut through the entire thing? How would you cut it? He's already cut them into 90 degree corners.
Well, one thing you could do is it a regular table? Sorry, is it a regular table saw with an adjustable height blade?
It's we can adjust it to whatever angle we want, but at the maximum like blade height, it still would not cut through the entire thing in one go. Not on an angle.
How I would do it is I would cut halfway through from this way and then halfway through this way, and you might still have to take a chisel to it, but that's the only way I could see to do it easily without like a handsaw or whatever.
Okay, so the way that I'm currently thinking about it at the moment is because these things when they go on the side, right? The intent is to nail them, obviously to nail the boards to the post.
Yeah.
You don't want to nail them here and here because the nails would be going through a much smaller section of the chunk. So you would want to nail them like here and here. So instead of cutting them the entire way from this corner, instead we just cut them like here and here. You get what I mean? And then there'll be like a gap like here when you nail them on, but whatever. It's so dumb. Because we've got the post dug into like post holes in the ground because we want this thing to be like a little bit secure because he's planning on building like the garden like at least half a meter high. It's like a 3-tiered garden. It's crazy. Because this like garden post thing is like a part of like a 3-tiered. It goes like I think like this, and then like on this end is like the neighbor's fence, and then on this end is like the back neighbor's fence, and then the sun basically like this area gets next to no sun just because of the property. So he's trying to build like a 3-tiered thing so that it always gets. Yeah, so that the bottom plants don't block the sunlight of the top plant. And by saying that he's trying to build it, I mean we are trying to build it because I'm doing the fucking work. But yeah, it's a tough problem. So you're saying basically cut wedges out and then just like add wedges?
No, that'd be way too complicated. My math's horrible anyways. The way I would honestly go about it is you'll have to mess with the angles of the saw blade, but I would essentially make half a cut going one way, half a cut going the other way.
Yeah. But then how would you make this cut, right? How would you make... Because the saw blade has a maximum depression of 45-degree angle, right? So how would you make that cut? This cut, the other side is easy enough because you could just lay the flat end of the saw blade like this, poking out. But how would you cut the other side?
Well,
Because you can't put the saw blade like this.
Basically, what you'd have to do is that's the blade. You'd have to make that your angle going this way, and then you'd have to make your cut going halfway up this way. And then you'd basically invert your saw blade going the other way and flip your log to where you're making the other cut, the other half of the cut. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this cut's fine, right? You see this cut's fine? Because you can lay the flat end down on that side. But in order to cut the other end, I don't see how you would lay the log down on any flat surface because the other side is curved.
Yeah, the curved end would never touch the table. Because your saw blade, you should be able to angle both this way and this way.
Yeah, but the maximum angle is 45 degrees, so you would want to angle it, what, like... Shit, I don't even know if there's some math involved.
I am not a mather.
Alright. Don't worry about this, guys. I'll figure it out eventually.
Have you already set the sides of your garden? Because the simplest by far matter would be just redesign the garden itself.
No. We've already got like the material involved and the lengths and everything. Yeah.
Well,
Go
most
find one of
places-
those other hobbits.
Most places will help you with a consultation for free as long as they don't do any actual labor or blueprints or anything.
Well, I made a joke to my dad, who's the but basically, like, I made a joke to him that he's like, how do we do this when the saw blade can't on an angle? Like, if it's straight up, like 90 degrees, they can cut through the log fine, but on an angle, it just can't reach. So, like, how do we cut through this log on a degree, on an angle, with a blade that can't cut all the way through? And my joking answer was, get a bigger blade.
That would be the end.
Oh no, no matter what, it's still going to be at a 45-degree angle.
It's like a it's like a person changing a tire, contacting his mates and saying, I've got a size 14 wrench, but the bolts are size 12. How do I do this? Get a size 12 wrench? Yeah.
But the only other way I could see doing it, and this would be way more expensive because you're using a lot of wood for waste, but would be to cut it into like eighths or whatever, tack it onto the end of that quarter piece so it messes with your angles and do like trigonometry or whatever to determine the angle you need your saw blade to be at.
Yeah, no, I'll figure it out. Right.
Cool.
I don't know why originally. I don't know why he did not just cut them, because we got like the full post, like the full circular post, and he's already cut them into quarters. Whereas he should have cut them into thirds, because then that would have been fine. That would have been exactly the angles that we need. We need two thirds posts to form all of the corner posts.
Well, then just tell him to suck it up and buy more posts and do that.
So he's ruined it. He's ruined it. And no, this is not subliminal advertising from Mercedes. All right, I'll catch you guys next week. Everyone's still fine for Tuesday, yes?
Yep.
And yes, we will start at 8 because stupid freaking daylight savings. Okay, I'll catch you guys next week.
Actually, I think next week we do start our daylight savings.
Oh, God, what time is that? Never mind. I'll set the time on roll 20, and then we can figure out whatever time that is if we need to push it back an hour or forward.
Or what you could do is just like, it would be like your night of, be like, okay, from the time I post this, we have like 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose we can do.
Okay.
Okay. So I posted a time. What time does that say for you guys?
I just closed my browser.
Give me a moment. It says 8 p.m.
Okay, so it is 8 p.m. That's weird because that says 2 p.m. for me.
Yeah.
That's because of daylight savings, probably.
Yeah, well, we fall back on the 5th.
Right, so if I change to 1 p.m., it'll say 7 p.m. for you guys.
Actually, doesn't Roll20 do an auto conversion?
Yeah, it does.
It's fine. It'll be fixed by that day, Tuesday, or Monday.
I think it accounts for that.
I don't know.
In the date things, it uses I think Google Dates or something, which automatically accounts for daylight saving changes.
Yeah, it'll be fixed on Monday anyway, so we'll know on Monday what time
Right.
we're playing.
We'll say tentatively 7 p.m. On a Monday EST,
Okay.
but it may be 8 p.m. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. See you guys next week.
Bye.